Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 actually, that talks about what is happening with the divine masculine once he goes silent, and that is after he is awakened fully, and once the divine connection between himself and his divine feminine is confirmed to him by the divine. So I left it at the divine masculine kind of not asking for the transformation, not asking for for like this whole journey, right? All the changes, because what's happening within him is that his old self collapses. Everything that he has believed himself to be and life on earth to be, and his 3D reality. So however his life looks like, he realizes, because now the divine feminine has shown him the truth, that a lot of it is lies. They're illusions. A lot of their life is built on lies, and it's a very like harsh wake-up call. So what I wanted to say was that about this part, that if your divine masculine has ever told you, I'm speaking to a divine feminine here, that they weren't ready for you, and it doesn't matter like if they were ready to, I don't know, give you a relationship, be with you, like, right, start a family, work together, like whatever. It all depends on what obviously was part of your journey. But if the divine masculine has ever told you that they weren't ready, they actually mean that. It is not like an excuse. It is not them trying to smooth over the fact that they're rejecting you, right? Or the connection that you and your divine masculine have. They're actually being honest. They were really not ready for all of these things that were happening, because to him, the transformation that is going on within him, it wasn't planned. He wasn't a willing participant. And whether he fought it at that time or not, obviously he was. It just because he really wasn't ready. He didn't want it. And it's not that he didn't want it as in like, oh, I've met my divine feminine and she's the worst person and I don't want her. No. They didn't want it as in, I did not want this huge change coming into my life where I see that everything around me, my life, including themselves, is falling apart, is breaking into small pieces. Everything is dying within them. And they were not ready, and they did not want to see all of these lies that they were very much aware of. They were very much aware of the karmic people around them, right? All of these karmic situations, all of these really toxic situations, whether it's a workplace or friendship or a relationship, really whatever that may have been, they have seen the truth of it because they are very intelligent. Really, really very bright, very intelligent. It's just that they have lied to themselves and pretended that it kind of wasn't important. It was more of like, so what if these things are based on a lie? This brings me pleasure right now, and so I'm gonna take it. Or if we kind of go even further down this path, it could have just as well been like, well, yes, it's built on a lie, or I know these people are trying to use me, or I know that this isn't good for me. I know these situations are very toxic, but life is shit, or life is cruel, right? And there's not more, and I have to suffer. Like there's nothing more to life than this. And because of that, I'm gonna like take what I can, and I'm gonna use what I can, because that is the only like silver lining in this cruel existence. So it is not that they didn't want their divine feminine. It's not that they didn't want the love. It's just that they, first of all, had no idea that something like this existed, and neither did we divine feminines, right? Because we carry the same karmic wounding. It's just that when the divine feminine becomes aware, or is being made aware by the divine feminine doesn't fight it. The divine masculine does fight it, because it destroys everything. All of that perceived safety that they have created in their life to protect themselves, no matter how toxic or how, let's say, bad it has been. There's also that thing that when the divine masculines awakens to the connection and feel this sacred, beautiful love to his divine feminine, his reaction isn't joy that, oh, I'm so overjoyed that I finally have met the person I've been looking for. It's not reverence for his divine feminine. It's not even reverence for the connection itself, because it is bigger than life, because it's so much more that he has ever than what they have ever felt ever, really, before or after with any other person. For them, what comes up, the reaction is fear. It's fear of losing themselves in that love, in that connection. And this is something that I personally kind of was like struggling with, because I thought like, what do we mean when we say that? Like that the divine masculine was scared to lose himself in the connection. But what it means is that because they do, so if the divine masculine allows himself to, let's say, enjoy the love that he feels and the connection that he feels towards his own divine feminine, what happens is that he loses his old self. So think back to the moment where you and your divine counterpart have met, and that, let's say, honeymoon phase where well, it's not, but I was going to say where everything is very good. Well, a lot of things is very good. It's just that you are aligned, or you're closer aligned to each other, because you're meant to kind of get a taste of what it can be or what it will be once both of you healed. And it's very magnetic for both of us. So it's very magnetic for both polarities. I apologize, I'm losing voice. This is the third video I'm trying to record, because I want to do it in one swoop so that I don't lose the train of thought. So it makes sense when you guys are listening to it. The connection is very magnetic. The pull is very strong. So, the divine counterparts kind of really want to be with each other. We want to talk to each other. We want to hang out. We obviously want to be close to each other, intimate, right? We just desire each other and want to be with each other, to spend time with each other. Like no matter what we would be doing, whether it's work or pleasure, and they have experienced that with their own divine feminine in that initial part, that initial stage, let's say. But they also saw that when that was happening, their old self did not exist. So the old self for them is their safety, because it's their armor that they have built. It's all of these walls, all of these self-defense system, like self-protection systems that they have built and kind of made over the years to protect themselves from the world. So all the like numbing routines and kind of the way their life looks like right before they meet their divine feminine. So that is what I mean when I say that for them, the reaction of finding out about this connection and feeling all of this has been fear of losing themselves, their old self. So they were scared of losing that safety, that perceived safety that they believed they had with their old life. They are scared of being exposed because the divine feminine sees through her divine masculine. She sees through everything. They cannot lie to their divine feminines. The divine feminine sees all of their patterns, their karmic wounds, right? All of these things. And it's very unnerving to a divine masculine because the divine masculine has spent his whole life and many lifetimes building a certain mask, certain persona that he shows to people, that they show to people, so that nobody could see the real them because of how wounded they are, because of how scared they are of not being enough for people, or if they have been shamed about them opening up about their feelings and maybe wanting to work through their emotions or going after their heart's desires in the past. If they have been shamed, then they see themselves as faulty, as well, like let's say they're not man enough, right? Or you're too sensitive, you're a man, you should not be so sensitive, or stuff like this. So they see themselves as absolutely faulty, like there's something wrong with them, because they know very well that they have never been that, let's say, the type of masculine that society has made them believe that they had to be, right? So the cold one, the stoic one, the logical one, the one that will always prioritize practicality above everything else, absolutely above their love or their heart's desires. And so for them, when their divine feminines sees through them, because we do see through their masks, through their armors, they feel exposed. But it's not a comfort for them. It's almost like, oh no, now they will see, or now she will see, so the divine masculine, the divine feminine will see all of the faultiness in me. They already see their divine feminine as their, like an angel, like a lot of people will say earth angels, these beautiful, beautiful human beings who show them love without asking for anything, that show them compassion and forgiveness and understanding. They have never experienced that before. And so it's for them to, because they believe themselves to be faulty and like not good enough, they are afraid of their divine feminine seeing all of them. So they're very uncomfortable with that. They're afraid that they're not enough, that they will not be able to provide enough, whether it's emotional stability to their divine feminine, or financial security, right? Or the 3D life that they know that she deserves. And so he, or the divine masculine, will detach. And again, like I mentioned in the previous video, they may choose to kind of throw themselves into everything else just to make sure that they don't really have time to think about their divine feminine, to feel everything that they're feeling. So they do what they can to distract themselves, however that looks like, right? And the thing that happens is that what kind of I myself definitely wasn't aware of was that the divine masculine carries a lot of grief within them. And it's the grief that they feel for themselves, for their true selves that they have been taught that they have to hide and pretend that it doesn't exist. So who they truly are, their true heart's desires, who they love, so their divine feminine, what they really want from life. Because even though they kind of play a certain role where society tells them that they need to be a certain way, right, and act a certain way and possess certain things in the 3D, because they're the masculine and masculine has to have these things and be these things, they may not even want half of the things. And they kind of grieve the fact that they are not even allowed to be free to just be themselves, really, because they will be scorned, right? Because people will look down on them, because people will say that they're not man enough, they're not good enough. They also grieve their divine feminines because they are also very much aware that they cannot meet their divine feminine where she is at currently at any point in time until the 3D reunion happens. That is because, yes, the divine feminine does lead the way, and for her it's a longer process. So she starts much earlier to heal and release things, and then she kind of gets done to a certain point, and that is when the divine masculine starts to catch up, basically. And what the divine masculine sees is not like this reverence and this respect for their divine feminine that kind of looks like, oh, that is so amazing, she's already there, she has healed, if she can then I can too. Like, they do not take it as an example. What they see is the vast distance between themselves and who they are currently to where their divine feminine is. And that is a lot of it, because I stress the vast part, a lot of it is their fear, making it even bigger than what it is. But it is also true, because that is just kind of how the twin soul journey works. And this is also something that the divine masculine has to transcend, to not compare himself to the divine feminine or to the progress really of other people. Like, it's a deeper lesson. Obviously, it's about the divine masculine not feeling the need to compare themselves to other people and where other people are. And this is something that the divine feminine also works through, because a lot of time, especially for women, so female humans, there's a lot of talk like, oh, you're a certain age, you should be married by now. Oh, you are a female and a certain age, why aren't you married yet? Or maybe, why are you single? Or why don't you have kids? Why don't you have more kids than you have currently, right? It's always something. And a lot of times women will kind of try to compare themselves that, oh, I have a coworker at my work that is, let's say many years younger than me, but they're getting married, or she's getting married, but I'm not getting married yet. And it's not about that. It's everybody has their own pace in life and their own journey. So obviously that kind of is part of a deeper healing. But this is what the divine masculine sees. He sees just how far behind her he is, and that kind of adds to the whole thing. He grieves the fact that he is so far behind, and I'm saying in quotation mark, and that he's very much aware that he cannot catch up like very fast. It will take time for him, and because there's so much fear within him of not being worthy and not being good enough, and abandonment and rejection and all of these things, it really makes things worse for the divine masculine, because they may see their divine feminine being maybe, living their purpose and actually enjoying their life and being at peace, while they are still currently in the midst of like the biggest storm, the biggest transformation that I have ever gone through, and everything is falling apart. So there's a lot of grief because the divine masculine cannot meet you where you are. Even in the past, where maybe you as the divine feminine still is in the midst of your own healing, all the divine masculine sees are the differences, really. He sees how unconditionally loving you are towards him, and he feels that he cannot give that to you. He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how you can kind of allow him freedom, where all he knows love to be is control. It's either him controlling their partner or their partner controlling them, right? So all of these things are crushing him, and all of that he's grieving. He's really suffering through all of these things. There's also the thing that to a divine masculine, love, I'm not going to say true love, because there's only one love and it's true. The rest is karmic attachment. That is just what I'm going to continue preaching, because people need to understand this, that there are two very much different things. Both needed, both should be honored, but it's a difference. For the divine masculine, love is pretty much dangerous. So the feelings that he has towards his feminine are dangerous to him, because they, first of all, expose so much within him, right? There's so much love, there's so much emotions, everything buried comes up. Everything that they kind of tried to bury up until now comes up. They equate vulnerability with weakness, because they see themselves as faulty. They see kind of pain and whatever negative emotions they're carrying as weaknesses. And of course he doesn't want to show that to anybody, especially not his divine feminine. He even himself doesn't want to look at it. That's why he has been numbing. That's why he has been denying it, pretending that these things don't exist. And so that's kind of why the divine masculine runs from the connection, from the divine feminine. That's why he detaches. That's why a lot of times divine masculine will kind of either double down on a current karmic relationship, or they will find like more of them, or new ones, or a new one, and they will really invest into that, because they are like pretty much trying to make the old ways work for them, even though it's not happened. And no matter how many times God, so the divine, will show the divine masculine that these things, their old ways don't work anymore, that their numbing doesn't work, that whatever low vibrational behaviors they have been exhibiting, that they no longer give them what they what they gave them before. So like the distraction, it no longer gives them the high, the rush, the addictions. They kind of lose the intensity because they notice that even though they are feeding their addiction, whatever that may be, the payoff isn't there anymore. It's like less and less the more times passes. So for the divine masculine, pain and all of these things, all of that transformation is made invisible to the outside. So they internalize all of that. That's why we see so few divine masculines speaking out, talking about their journey, creating things, there's everything they're burying within themselves. And because they have always been alone, especially emotionally, they believe that they have to do it alone. And so this is why they're not asking for help. Like even on my personal journey, I wondered a few times, like, why isn't my own divine masculine asking me about things, even though I am sure that he knew very well that I could give him the answers. But it wasn't that he didn't want to ask me. Well, yeah, he didn't, but it wasn't that he didn't want my help necessarily. It's just that he didn't want help because he believed that he had to do it himself. And all of the fears of not being enough, of being faulty, and all of these things, the divine masculine doesn't know how to ask for help. They have never been taught how to deal with their feelings. They have never been told that it's okay for them to cry, to rage, to express whatever turmoil is happening within them. They don't know how to be vulnerable. They don't know how to open up. They don't know how to let somebody in that way. They don't know how to even cry in somebody else's presence. To them, it's humiliation if that happens, not vulnerability as in I am human and there's so much happening within me, like there's just, I need to let it out some way, and it comes out as crying. To them, it's really humiliation, because for them, if they cry, let's say, in front of someone, to them it's a failure of them being a man, being a masculine, right? Because they're supposed to be tough, they're supposed to be very stoic and have control over everything. So it's really heartbreaking to know this. They also struggle with the journey itself. they for a long time, that's obviously subjective, but for a long time they don't even want to acknowledge the connection itself, because he didn't ask for it. The divine masculine didn't ask for it. They didn't want it, right? Everything that they know is collapsing. Everything is changing. And because the divine has made him aware of the truth of everything, of who they are, who their feminine is, why they are here a lot of times on earth, and the truth of their surroundings, the life that they have built, their families, their workplaces, friends groups, right, hobbies, a lot of it is really based on very wrong things. As in, I'm not saying that everything comes from a wound, but a lot of it comes from a wound, from an empty place within them where they believe that, I have to do this so that that part within me will be filled and I will be happy. And they're not, because that is just not what's happening, right? So they struggle to make peace with the fact that it's actually happening. and they fight it, they avoid it, they deny it, they do what they can to not acknowledge it, to not look at it really for what it is and what is actually currently happening to them. Because what really is happening, that the love, the unconditional love that we learn to remember, really, love is the thing that actually strips us bare. It takes away, it destroys all of our masks, all of our walls, all of our like defense systems. Nothing works because love is present. The way we have learned to deal with our life, positive, negative experiences, no matter what it has to do with in your life, whether it's work or family or romantic situations, the way we have learned to live our life, it is not like it, that doesn't work anymore. And the divine masculine cannot unsee it. And they have really hard time accepting it, because for them, that is pretty much all they know. There is a lot of times for divine feminine too that, there are people that are like not believing in anything else other than the human experience, that when the human body dies, we die too, our consciousness dies. But it's more of like they have been taught and brainwashed to not accept anything that isn't logical. And because this connection and everything that is happening within it is not logical, it's not practical, they struggle to accept it, that this is actually true. So this will this can manifest in the divine masculine kind of retreating. I know that some twins kind of have a part of the journey that they will kind of come back to each other and they will be aligned, and then something happens and then they will be separated again, and it kind of happens over and over again. And there's no right or wrong. Everything is right if it's happening to you. But a lot of times when the divine masculine retreats, or really no matter what stage of your journey you're at, when the moment comes when the divine masculine kind of retreats and gets silent, maybe you as the divine feminine kind of want to talk things through, right? You want to ask what's happening, you maybe want to share what's happening within you, you maybe want to communicate to find a way to work through it together. If the divine masculine is retreating, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the situation at hand, because this is the way they know how to deal with the things that are happening. I will say that I'm pretty sure the divine masculine is meant to overcome that and to learn communicating and being open about everything that is happening, because the divine masculine needs to balance out the feminine within them. They need to allow their inner feminine to rise, and so they're not meant to do that, of course. But if this is happening, it really has nothing to do with them rejecting their feminine. It has nothing to do with them, let's say, not wanting to fix whatever it is that is happening, or not. It's not that they don't want to find a solution. It's just that they don't know how else, like in what other way they can process their emotions, because they never learned a different way. They were never shown a different way. So it's the same thing if they try to avoid the situation or pretend that something maybe didn't happen, or if they try to smooth it over. It's just their defense mechanism. This is the way they have learned how to live and deal with everything. And it is vastly different to how the feminine deals with things. And we kind of have to understand each other on this journey, and really not only on this journey, that we were taught to deal with these things in different ways. And as much as that needs to be honored, we also have to understand that we are meant to transcend these things, because it's not good for us to either overshare and or deny everything and keep it inside, right? So there's a lot of we just have to learn to communicate and stand in our truth, and both the feminine and the masculine have to learn that and balance their inner feminine and inner masculine to be able to be balanced, to be able to speak about these things without running away or without pushing to, let's say, let's fix it now, don't run away, why are you avoiding this? There is a lot of silence within the divine masculine. For them, it's also a lot of memories of how they have mistreated their divine feminine. Like, I'm not gonna go into detail with that, but no matter what has happened, all the mistreatments of the divine feminine by her divine masculine, all of that comes back to the divine masculine. He needs to learn from that. He needs to understand the damage that he has done to the divine feminine. He needs to understand, he will be made aware, he will feel this way, so he will be made to feel the way he has made her feel. And those memories bring him grief too. They bring guilt, they bring shame, they bring anger, resentment towards themselves, and they have nobody else to blame but themselves. And yes, they do, just like we feminines do. Of course, we all kind of get to the bottom of things. We can all find, let's say, the root, the cause of why we have had these karmic patterns within us. But still, even though we can understand and see the cause, it's still our own doing, right? So the divine masculine has to deal with that too. But the way he has dealt with these things was very much internal. It was not talking it out with the feminine. It has not been talking it out with other people. Again, there comes a point on the divine masculine journey when they realize that they either don't feel capable of doing this by themselves and they will ask for help, they will reach out for help, or they will start sharing things, and that help will be given. And this should be honored and it should be celebrated because it's really, really important. But that is really what is happening. The thing is too that, especially when it comes to love, what they have with their divine feminines is actual love, right? It's true love. Again, I'm not going to use that term because it also implies that there is false love. If it's false, it's not love. So because they have now experienced actual love in their divine connection, they realize that what they have been taught that love is, so it's like a performance and proof and control and, you know, all of these things, they first of all grieve that because they some maybe, let's say, you know, there's kind of this feeling of time wasted, or what have I done, why did I even do all of these things? It was meaningless, and I spent so much time and so much energy on building these things, right? Love actually asks them to just be, to not provide, not to control, not to build all the time, not to do all of these things that a society asks masculines to do in life. So they're supposed to work, they're supposed to provide, they're supposed to do things and push for things, right? Love actually just asks them, and only, to be still in their own being, to face themselves, to see how they feel, what they feel like doing, or what they wish to pursue, right? What they do wish to build, if they wish to, well, they're masculine, so they will want to provide a safe space for their feminine. But it kind of comes from a different place. It's not performance. It's not, oh, I have to do it because I'm the husband. I like, oh, I have to do this and that because I am the father. It's not that, oh, I have to do all of these things and I have to invest into all of these situations because I am the brother, the friend, the whatever, right? They are not used to that. They're not used to the divine feminine asking them to just be, for their presence, for their I was gonna say attention, but it's not just attention in that way, it's presence really, for their investment of time, but not to go do the next thing. That too, of course, but it's not all of that doing, it's just being. So really, if I were to kind of wrap it up, because I have been talking so much, what I'm going to say is that the divine masculine's path to awakening, to truth, to remembrance of who he is, begins with the illusion of peace. And it's a relative peace, of course. He thinks that he's better off numb. He thinks that he's better off distracting himself, moving on from the feminine, up until the moment where the divine reminds him over and over again about the feminine, and he can no longer deny this, because he then I do apologize for my very, very raspy voice. There comes a moment, and that moment comes where you, divine feminine, have achieved inner union, when you have healed everything. And I will even go as far as to say that you have already merged energetically with your divine masculine, or are in the process of merging, and you will kind of feel where it's happening. They will start going through what you, the divine feminine, has gone through all of this time. So all the pain, all the betrayals, the anger, the resentment, the sadness, right? The pain, everything is going to hit him hard. This is actually when his true awakening begins. Yes, he is awakened when you meet, or he's awakened when he meets the divine feminine, but it's almost like there are signs, but he doesn't pay attention to them. Yes, he's being shown by the divine certain things, but he kind of like pushes them away, pushes them to side, and not thinks of them important, right? Yes, he feels the very strong magnetic connection. Yes, he feels that beautiful sacred love. He may feel her presence even, but he will kind of do like a mental gymnastic to pin it all to lust, because maybe she's very sexy, right? Or to the fact that, well, maybe I enjoy spending time with her because she's funny, but there's other people that are funny. They will kind of try to find excuses and pin it into a very superficial thing. And then once you, the divine feminine, have come to the place where you have healed and you're ready for your permanent reunion with your beloved, with your divine masculine, that is when he starts the pain journey, I guess I could say, just to kind of make it easier to understand. That is when all of this thing is happening. That is when the collapse happens also on the outside. That is when his 3D 3D experience, 3D, well, yeah, it is, but 3D reality, everything is going to start falling apart. It has been falling apart, like slowly, like piece by piece every now and then, but because the divine masculine denies a lot of it, he has repaired a lot of it, like continuously as it has been falling apart, like no matter what it has been. But it's always been excused by like, oh, that is just life, or that may have been a bad day somebody had, like, right? But when that moment comes for him to go through that awakening, like through that pain awakening, I guess, everything is destroyed. Everything is falling apart. He is destroyed. He's dying because his old self is dying. Everything that he has built around himself falls. It breaks apart. The mask, the life that he has built, the like sorry, false persona, all of the defense mechanism, nothing works. Everything, it just collapses. He doesn't have that clarity, like, oh, okay, so this is what's happening. Okay, thank you for the information. Thank you for the guidance. Something new happens, and then he gets more information. To him, it's confusion. It's emotional overwhelm. It's just disorientation because he doesn't know why these things are happening, especially because he has been lying to himself that he has managed to kind of keep his old life because he detached from the divine feminine. So it is really him shedding everything old, and it's painful because there has been, first of all, so much attachment to people, places, situation, because to them it has been safety. But now they see that it's not safety. It has not been safety. It actually has been burden a lot of time. Most of the things that divine masculine has surrounded themselves with is just burden. And it's nothing that they are forced to carry anymore. They're actually forced to leave that burden behind, and they are confused. Why would a life that they have been leading for, let's say, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it has been like working up until now. It's been functioning and kind of working up until now, but now everything is falling apart. Like, why? So as difficult as it is for us, the divine feminines, to witness that destruction and that collapse and the confusion and the pain of our divine masculine, we really are asked to not interfere. That is something that must be done by your other self, personally, individually, I guess, without your help. That is the way you went through it as the divine feminine, and that is the way that the divine masculine must go through it too. As much as you wish to help, as much as you would like to offer guidance or even just support, just showing that you're there for them, you are actually not supposed to interfere in their healing. Because think back to when you were going through that part that hurt a lot. They were not there for you because they weren't meant to. You were meant to. All of that pain, all of that confusion, all of that collapse is really meant to pretty much kill off that false self that we have had. And so you must allow your divine masculine to go through that alone, no matter how much you wish to be there for them and to help them, as difficult as it is, because that is the only loving thing to do, because they have to go through that themselves. Without it, they will not learn. Without it, if you were to go in and interfere and help them, what you're going to cause is them having to go through even a longer period of time with all of that pain because they have to do it alone and you have interfered. So you can think of it that before the divine masculine can be returned to you, he has to first come back to himself, and then he can come back to you. So remember that you, as the divine feminine, you're the guiding light, right? You're the lighthouse, the North Star, however you wish to call it. You are the one that are showing the way. And right now, the best thing you can do is to show your divine masculine the way by standing in your power and stubbornly, yes, of course, you still love them, you love them so much, you still want to be with them, you still want to help, but you show them that they can do it alone. And they will see it and they will appreciate that you have allowed them to do that by themselves. So this third part has been 51 minutes. Thank you so much if you are here still listening to it. I am really happy that I was made aware of these things so that I can show it with you guys, because it's super important to understand what the divine masculine is going through, because they are your other self. And if you're the divine masculine, remember your other self, so your divine feminine is there and she loves you and she supports you and she's cheering you on. Believe me, as difficult and as dark at this period of time may be for you, there is so much light on the other side that it's all worth it. So keep at it. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will talk to you another time.